Senator Peterson.
Yeah, we need more women everywhere, Representative Hughes. Again, Mr. Dr. Gallagher.
Mr. Galligan, thank you.
Got Mr. You don't want to be a doctor?
No, I'm a lawyer, so.
Yeah, that Juris Doctorate. Remember that last?
No, I know, but the ABA used to say, Senator, we shouldn't call ourselves doctor, and I'm 65, so I'm still living under those old ABA rules, so.
Well, when I was in law school with Winston, he called himself a doctor once he graduated. Tulane. And that was Tulane, not LSU, by the way. I'm going to out you right here. You're a Tulane law grad. Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
No, he's an LSU law grad.
Oh.
My
you
former
really?
student.
Yes. You're confusing me with our other friend.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm so sorry.
I know who you think.
I'm putting you in the wrong school. All right, I take it back. Mea culpa. So I'm sorry about that. But no, seriously, there's one word that is resonating, has been since this report came out in my mind, and I think a lot of people: accountability. And so I'd ask you the question simply: where has the accountability been for those people involved, and what does that look like?
Well, we have disciplined two folks who are currently at the university. We suspended one person for 30 days without pay and another person for 21 days without pay. Going forward, we're going to have clear. There was Senator. There was no culture of punishment at LSU. There was no notice at the time as to what would happen. The policies were very unclear. There were directions within departments to report Title IX issues to places they should not have been reported.
Yeah, but don't we live in an at-will state?
We do. There
And
was.
I mean, I do know this about you. You're an employment lawyer.
Yes.
All right? And so I'm just going to say, like, we live in an at-will state. We have a report, right? And my question is, do you think that is sufficient? Do you think both of you, do you think it's sufficient accountability for what you read?
I don't know if it's sufficient. I know that what I was trying to do was to be as fair as I possibly could.
To whom?
To everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Given the report and the history, I would say, and I know this, going forward, we're going to make the consequences clear.
So you say you're going to make the consequences clear. Do you think that the action was egregious?
I think the action was egregious.
If you think the action was egregious, notwithstanding the fact that there weren't clear, as you're doing moving forward prospectively, clear guidelines, if you do this, then this happens, right? There are things that rise to the level of shocking your conscience. And there comes a responsibility with certain positions that if there are consequences, and if you don't do it, then you don't have what we've been talking about is the trust. And so, 21, and look, I know some of the people involved. I know them, and I know some of the good work they did, right? But notwithstanding that, there are a lot of people that are counting on you, Mr. Gallagher, to get this right. And I'm just asking you, I wanted to really know if you think that what you've done at this point is sufficient to earn and garner the trust of the students, the faculty, and the public. Do you think 21 days, unpaid suspension and 30 days unpaid suspension is adequate to garner the trust moving forward?
I don't know if it's adequate to garner the trust. As I said before, I was trying to be as fair as I possibly could to everyone, and I think we have to garner the trust by everything that we do, and So I'm sure if that was a mistake that I will probably make other mistakes, but I
No,
need.
I'm not saying you made a mistake.
No,
'cause
I'm just saying if I did that, I will need the community's support, so I'm not sure. There's a lot more we have to do to build trust.
But there's no more information you need based on the actions that occurred, right? Because there are things that occurred, there were allegations made, you now have a report, and your response to that report were 2 suspensions. It wasn't to fire anyone. So I assume 21 days is almost up, and 30 days they'll be back on the job doing the thing they were doing before, correct?
That's correct.
And
Now,
so those 2 people, it's 2 people,
yes,
will be back on the job, and so then everything goes back in place, but you now have some new rules in place. So if they do it again, then there'll be consequences. Is that fair assessment of what?
that is a fair assessment.
And you're okay with that?
I'm okay with that as long as they clearly understand, and we all clearly understand, and I think we do now, what our responsibilities are.
You didn't think thought they had a responsibility to tell the truth?
I think they.
Because this is the essence of it. I don't want to tap dance around this. We keep talking about fidelity. They didn't tell the truth in the role that they had, and there were young people that were harmed by it, permanently harmed, because they were sexually assaulted and no one listened. And so you want to say fidelity is going to be the model moving forward. Well, we found out fidelity, which is something that I suspect when they took the job, both of them, that they were expected to tell the truth, certainly to their bosses, to comply with regulations. They didn't tell the truth. And when you don't tell the truth, you can make a mistake. I made mistakes in my life. Lord knows I've made mistakes in my life. But one thing I'm not going to do is lie.
Well,
And they didn't tell the truth.
yes, they did not disclose.
They did. Come on. No. We're tapped. They
No,
didn't tell the truth.
Well, I'm not tap dancing. I think they didn't disclose.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is very, maybe
Clear?
I'm tap dancing.
I mean, I'm a lawyer. You're a lawyer. Like, what's the
Both
difference
lawyers.
between not disclosing and not telling the truth?
Well, I would say making a falsehood
It's
as
a-
opposed to not
Okay,
saying.
disclose falsehood. Did they tell the truth?
They did not tell the truth.
Okay, now we're on the same page.
Now-
They didn't tell the truth.
And I
And the
wanna-
consequences for not telling the truth is merely a suspension. And you get to come back on the job and maybe not tell the truth again.
If they don't tell the truth again, they'll be terminated.
And there we go. That's what I'm saying. If they didn't tell the truth and we're in an at-will state, it's our subjective decision. When I say our, government,
Yeah.
the board and LSU gets to decide what the consequences are for not telling the truth. And if you all are okay with that, not telling the truth, and that this is the appropriate, penalty or enforcement action, if that's what we're good with, that's what I needed to know. And I thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm not good with that. I'm not good with not telling the truth under any circumstances. But I would add that they were both in an environment where the messages from the top were very, very unclear. The messages from the top were in fact that there was no punishment for this.
Yeah, because the
There was
messages from
no-
the top, and you weren't there, neither of you were there at the time of this, but the messages from the top, it was okay not to tell the truth.
And it's not okay.
It was okay, but they said that. And so just because everybody in the entire hierarchy was okay with the lies, I mean, the entire system, academic and athletic, were okay with everybody lying. And the people that were harmed were students. And this is what I'm saying. There may have been one, and I may have missed it, maybe one woman, and y'all correct me, in this process of the lies. The whole compadre of people telling lies. There may have been one woman. Or is there any woman? Is there any woman involved at that level? No?
There's one woman who did not disclose, as
Okay.
you say, tell lies.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. There's of all of these people, but still, all of these people are not telling the truth. And we're okay with that because everybody gets to just move on with a new set of rules.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, that's what we're talking about.
well, I'm not okay with that.
You
I'm
are.
not
You are okay.
No, I'm not. I'm okay with the punishment that what I imposed, but I'm not okay moving forward. Moving forward, we're going to change things.
But if you don't have consequences and strong consequences for the action, then it doesn't serve as a deterrent. And people think that they can still do it.
Yeah.
Senator Peterson,
Yeah, help me, Winston.
one of the very difficult, and this is the employment lawyer in me talking, and I normally don't share.
How about give me the father? Give me the father of a daughter. Put
Yes,
the
you know I do
employment.
have a
Put the
daughter.
employment
And
daughter. Father of a daughter. Give me that one.
This was, and I could put it in fatherly terms. At some point, we had to decide whether you view it as a parent with a kid or as an administrator over a school, where we were going to draw the line and say, this is now the rule. The problem is no one had drawn that line in the sand. And we were faced with a difficult decision of having to impose discipline where nobody had drawn the line saying, do not cross. And that's where we were. And so what we were trying to do is be fair in imposing discipline and simultaneously clearly drawing a line that should have been drawn a long time ago. And that's where disciplinary decisions get very, very difficult, because you're holding people to rules that weren't made explicitly clear.
But I'm saying it's not only about those rules, Winston and Mr. DeQueer and Mr. Gallagher. It is about just telling the truth.
I understand, and I don't disagree
Not about
with
all,
you there.
because the set of rules, it's always should have been in place that you tell the truth in your job and to the hierarchy and to the people that you serve, that you tell the truth. That should have been fundamental and be fair. And that didn't happen.
We also had another report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank
We
you.
also, Senator, had another report that said no one should be disciplined, a previous report. So that was the whole context of the decision.
Which report was that?
It was a 2019 report by a law firm named Morgan Lewis.
And the report said that no one should be punished.
Yes.
No wonder we have these issues. I agree with Senator Peterson. I'm just now I feel like Senator Hewitt. I mean, I was already frustrated, but now I feel like my blood is beginning to boil, and I feel somewhat insulted by. I feel. Let me just stop there because I am very frustrated at this point. Maybe you could reconsider, President Gallagher, your decision.
Chair, I feel, maybe I could reconsider, but I still feel I have an obligation to be fair to everyone involved. So, but thank you.
Fair. Okay. I'm just not going to even go down that road.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Senator Peterson.
Yeah, point of order, Madam Chair. Can the committee members pass a resolution in the committee? I know we're a select committee and we're not a standing committee, but do we have the ability before we leave? Because I want to get something drafted.
Let me double check.
Okay, I think we do have the ability to do that.
I think we can. I just wonder if we have enough members
And I think
present.
we might need to consider passing a resolution so that we can formalize where we stand, because I feel powerless right now. And you're conflicted, and I feel powerless.
And
And
frustrated.
I'll put it in writing. Well, I'm working on that.
Okay. We're going to check on it right now. Senator Peterson, thank you, Representative Marcel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do want to thank you too. Representative Marcel is bringing up a good point. This is a select committee that you chair, Madam Chair, and it is not one of the standing committees that has jurisdiction and oversight, right? And
Right.
so I think it's really important for something. It's our flagship. It's our flagship. And there's a lack of trust in our flagship. Let's cut to the chase again. There's a lack of trust today, and there's even more of a lack of trust from me. I feel powerless today. And I'm not one who feels powerless. You know that, Winston, huh?
I know that.
I'm not one of those. But I really do. And I think a lot of my colleagues probably feel that way too, because we did what we thought we needed to do. We asked the Board of Regents to do something. The Board of Regents helped us to design a uniform policy. And then we didn't know some things and there wasn't the best policy in place, and you don't want to be retroactive, is what I'm hearing. You don't want to have retroactive enforcement. Is that why you're conflicted, Mr. President?
That's why I'm conflicted, and when you were out of the room, I said the only thing I'm conflicted about is and that I've been conflicted about, is the appropriate discipline. Should we fire somebody? That's the only thing I'm conflicted about.
Do you have a daughter?
I have three. I had three daughters. One passed away from cancer.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Well, Senator, thank you very much, and I tell you, this feels a little bit like that. So this hurts. So I do have three daughters. I have a son, and I have a grandson who's just a year old, and I haven't seen him since he was a week old. So I'm looking forward to getting up and visiting him. But I hear where you're coming from, and
I don't know if you do.
I do. I want my kids to go to a safe, and my grandchildren to be in a safe environment. So I appreciate that.
I'm gonna just implore you to reconsider your decisions, because they matter and the truth matters. And if you don't have confidence in the people, you said the leadership, or not? No, I think Dr. Henderson said the leadership matters. And if you're going to remain as the president of the flagship university, we have to trust that you're going to make the right decisions that engender trust. I'm not sure if that's happening right now.
Well, I appreciate that. I hear what y'all are saying loud and clear.
All right, I have another question. Well, that was more of a comment. Your insurance policy.
Yes.
How much coverage do you have
We
for things,
are-
for these kinds of issues on the civil side?
Yeah. On the Baton Rouge campus, we are actually self-insured. So we.
So if a
cov-
an onslaught of civil cases came,
Well,
who would
well-
have to pay for it?
We're self-insured to the first million.
To the
and then
first
we-
million.
And then we carry an umbrella from 1 million to 50 million.
To 50 million. Okay. And so if it goes beyond 50 million in damages from jury cases, who would end up paying for that?
It would come back to us.
The LSU system. And the LSU system is primarily funded by whom?
The state.
Who?
It would be a combination of the state and the students.
The state and the students. I've heard this before. So that means in the form of the general fund and or the tuition and fees paid by the students.
Yes.
So ultimately, it could be that either the state legislature, through the appropriations process, the budget, or the same parents and students that are on the short end of this stick would have to pay the cost of the egregious acts of liars
Yes.
because of the self-insurance policy of $1 million and then the umbrella 1 to 50 million.
Yes. Yes.
That doesn't feel good either.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So those are significant potential financial consequences as well. Final question is, the federal government, you said that the federal government is looking at the Title IX.
Well, they're doing what's called a Clery audit.
Oh, the Clery audit, okay. So the Clery audit, does it take into consideration, when they do the audit, do they take into consideration the enforcement actions that the university has put in place? So whatever action you take, do they consider that in the audit?
When you say
So when they look at what happened and whether or not you were compliant, do they also look at the decision you made, for example, to suspend?
the Clery audit is.
I'm being clear, I don't
Well,
want
yeah,
clear, I don't
let-
understand clear.
Yeah, let me explain. The Clery audit is evaluating whether our annual crime statistics reported on our law enforcement website are an accurate reflection
Okay.
of the crimes that we received complaints of or should have received complaints of.
Okay, it's a snapshot.
And we believe the concern, and it's a very significant concern, is that the fact that certain cases were not being properly reported to the Title IX office means they were not getting properly reported on the annual Clery reports. And so they're going to compare basically police logs and Title IX complaints with the final reporting numbers and reconcile them and tell us if they believe our reports were accurate. So I'm not sure the Clary audit's going to look at the issue you're talking about. Now,
Okay. All right, that's helpful. I'll read about it a little bit more, but yeah, it doesn't. You're absolutely right. It's a
but
different.
there is still, to your question, there is still, and we believe it will likely happen, there is still the potential for Office of Civil Rights, what we call Title IX enforcement audits. And although we haven't been notified, it would not be uncommon following a report like this to receive a notice that they'd want to spot check various cases for enforcement compliance.
Okay, that would come under the Title IX Civil Rights. Okay, got it.
And that may very well happen. I would not be surprised if that
I hope it
occurs.
does. You're looking at me like that's more work. Yes, yes, it needs to happen. It's about accountability. It's
Well.
okay. We all get held accountable. And then, Madam former Chair, Mary, I was really proud to, there's a lot of conversation about me and confirmation processes and
Yes,
why
ma'am.
I make decisions. But I was really proud to confirm you. I served as the chair of the committee for 4 years in the last term. And there were 16 members. I don't remember exactly how many, but the 2 women that do serve came through the committee. And I know that you both are quite competent and capable, and you have led recently as a chair in a bold and courageous way. And I've seen progress. And I just want to say I'm proud of what you've done. And I hope that Representative Marcel referenced, the fact that the governor does have the ability to appoint more women. And diversity matters. I made a decision recently because of diversity. It wasn't gender, it was race. But diversity matters. And when you have to be intentional about it. And so when I use my power as the senator in these different roles, because it is powerful, we can be intentional about getting people in place that can make decisions. And you are very powerful. And I hope you continue to use that power to influence decisions that impact many, many women on that campus. And we're relying on you.
Thank you, Senator. You try to use my power
I know you do.
as I hope you all recognize, to make sure our students of color always felt that they were in a safe place.
Not students
Now,
of color.
all people.
I'm not only talking about students
I
of
know
color
that,
right
and
now.
I was going to say,
I'm talking about women right
I
now.
know we have failed the women, all women on this campus, and you referenced
Yeah.
I was in a position of power, and I feel that I still am.
You are.
And we will. Ms. Jones and I will not turn our eye.
I
on
know
this.
you won't. Y'all are strong, and we're counting on you.
There's a lot of weight on 2 women's shoulders.
But guess what? You can do it. It
That's
just
right,
takes
we
one.
can.
It just takes one.
Fortunately, I will say very fortunately, the present company of this administration and our colleagues listen to us. And we have a lot of work to do, and we realize that.
I know, and we're proud of you, and thank you.